social worker's words still rang in my ears as I drove home from the adoption agency. Congratulations, you've been approved to adopt Riley. My hands trembled on the steering wheel, happy tears threatening to blur my vision. After 2 years of paperwork, interviews, and endless waiting, I was finally going to be a mother. My name is Prudence, and at 35, I'd made the decision that changed everything. Single motherhood wasn't the path I'd initially imagined, but life has a way of reshaping our dreams into something better. I pulled into my father's driveway, heart racing. He needed to know first, needed to understand why this mattered so much. The familiar red brick house loomed before me, its windows staring like judgmental eyes. "Dad?" I called out, letting myself in with my spare key. The house smelled of coffee and old newspapers, just like always. "In here," he answered from his study. I found him behind his mahogany desk, reading glasses perched on his nose, surrounded by the law books that had been his life's work. "Dad, I have amazing news." The words tumbled out before I could contain them. He looked up, his expression already guarded. "What is it?" "I've been approved for adoption. I'm going to be a mother." I beamed, waiting for his congratulations, his embrace, anything that resembled joy. Instead, his face darkened. "You what?" "I'm adopting a little girl. Her name is Riley. She's 10 and she's perfect. You're going to love her." "Stop." He removed his glasses, placing them deliberately on the desk. "You're telling me you're going to raise a child? Alone?" "Yes, Dad. I know it's not traditional, but..." "Traditional?" He stood up, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "This isn't about tradition, Prudence. This is about common sense. A child needs 2 parents, a proper family structure. That's not true anymore. Times have changed. Single parents are setting themselves and their children up for failure." His words cut through the air like steel. "I won't support this foolishness." I stepped back, stunned. "Support?" "I'm not asking for your support, Dad. I'm telling you you're going to be a grandfather." "No." He shook his head. "No, I won't be. If you go through with this, you're no daughter of mine." The room spun. "You don't mean that." "I do. You've always been headstrong, Prudence, but this crosses a line. What will people say? A single woman adopting. It's unnatural." "Unnatural?" My voice cracked. "What's unnatural is denying a child love because of some outdated belief system." "Get out!" His voice was quiet, controlled, deadly. "Dad, please, get out!" He slammed his hand on the desk, making me jump. "If you want to destroy your life, fine. But I won't watch it happen. I won't be part of it." Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of him. "You know what? You're right about one thing. I am headstrong, and I'm going to give Riley the most amazing life, with or without your blessing." I turned to leave, but stopped at the door. "And Dad, when she asks about her grandfather, I'll tell her the truth, that he chose his pride over love." The drive home was a blur. I barely made it through my front door before collapsing onto the couch, sobs racking my body. My phone buzzed, Zariah calling. I answered, trying to steady my voice. "How'd it go with your dad?" she asked. "He disowned me." The words felt surreal leaving my mouth. "He what?" Zariah's outrage was immediate. "Oh, honey, I'm coming over. Right now, with wine." "No, I'm okay. Not a request. See you in 15. I hung up and looked around my apartment, soon to be Riley's home too. The spare room was already painted sunshine yellow, waiting for her arrival. A stuffed giraffe sat in the corner, its long neck slightly crooked, just like Riley's smile in her photo. My father's words echoed in my head, but they couldn't drown out the memory of Riley's laugh during our first meeting. The way she'd shown me her favourite book, explaining the plot with such enthusiasm, how she'd asked hesitantly if she could call me Mom someday. The doorbell rang, Zariah, true to her word. As I got up to answer it, I caught my reflection in the window. Despite everything, I was smiling. Because in 2 weeks, Riley would walk through this door, and we'd start our own kind of family. One built on love, not tradition. My father might have closed his door on us, but I was about to open a new one. And nothing, Not his judgment, not society's expectations, not anyone's disapproval could stop me now. "Mom, can I have another cookie?" Riley asked, her homework spread across our kitchen table, coloured pencils rolling dangerously close to the edge. "After you finish your math," I replied, typing furiously on my laptop. 3 weeks into motherhood, and we'd fallen into a comfortable routine, but the words burning inside me needed to come out. "What are you writing?" She peered over my shoulder, cookie forgotten. "Just thoughts." I minimized the document quickly, but not before she caught a glimpse. "Is it about Grandpa?" My fingers froze over the keyboard. "What makes you think that?" "Because you get that look whenever you write, like you're sad and mad at the same time." Riley's perception never ceased to amaze me. The doorbell saved me from responding. Zariah burst in, arms full of takeout bags. "I brought Thai food and news." Riley bounced up. "Is it about your magazine?" "Better." Zariah set the food down, grinning. "I showed your mum's writing to my editor friend." I nearly choked on my water. "You did what?" "The piece you sent me last week, about family expectations and modern parenthood. She wants to publish it in next month's issue." "Zariah? That was private. I wrote it at 3 a.m. when I couldn't sleep." "And it's brilliant." She started unpacking containers of pad thai. "Raw, honest, angry in all the right ways. People need to read it." Riley looked between us, eyes wide. "Mum, you're going to be published?" "No, I'm not." "Yes, she is," Zariah interrupted, "because I already told Janet you'd do it." "I'm going to kill you." "You're going to thank me." She handed me a business card. "Call her tomorrow. The piece needs minimal editing, and she wants to discuss more contributions." Later, after Riley was in bed, Zariah and I sat on the balcony with wine glasses in hand. The city lights twinkled below, a perfect backdrop for confronting hard truths. "I'm not a writer," I said quietly. "Bullshit. I've read your journal entries since college. You've always been a writer, you just never had the right motivation." "Spite isn't the right motivation." "No?" She raised an eyebrow. "Some of the best art comes from pain, from anger, from proving people wrong." I swirled my wine, watching the red liquid catch the light. "He hasn't called once, you know. Not even to check if Riley's settled in." "Then write about it. Write about all of it. The judgment, the silence, the way society still looks at single mothers like we're some kind of failure." "We? Hey! Being divorced with 2 kids isn't exactly the white picket fence dream either." She clinked her glass against mine. "But look at us. Your daughter's thriving, my boys are happy, and the world hasn't ended because we don't fit the traditional mold." My phone buzzed. An email from Janet, the editor. The subject line read, "Your voice matters." "What if I'm not ready to share this with the world?" I whispered. "Remember what you told Riley last week when she was scared to join the school play?" I smiled despite myself. "Being scared means it matters." "Exactly." Zariah stood up, gathering her things. "Call Janet tomorrow, start writing. Turn all this pain into something powerful." After she left, I opened my laptop again. The document I'd been working on stared back at me, cursor blinking accusingly. I'd titled it, "The Cost of Unconditional Love." My fingers moved across the keyboard, finding words I didn't know I had. "Dear Dad, you taught me that family means sacrifice. What you never understood is that I didn't sacrifice Riley for your approval. I sacrificed your approval for Riley. And I'd do it again, every single day." The words flowed easier now, like a dam breaking. I wrote about the day he turned his back on us, about Riley's first night home, about the strength I found in choosing love over tradition, about how sometimes family isn't what we're born into, but what we build from the ashes of expectations. At midnight, Riley padded into the room in her pajamas. "Can't sleep?" I saved the document and opened my arms. She crawled into my lap, still small enough to fit perfectly. "Just working on something important." "Is it going to help other people? Like me? Like you?" She nodded against my shoulder. "Kids who need different kinds of families." My throat tightened. "Yeah, baby. I hope it does." "Then you should do it," she said simply, with all the wisdom of her 10 years. "Even if it's scary." I held her closer, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo. Tomorrow I'd call Janet. Tomorrow I'd start turning my private pain into public purpose. But tonight, I just sat with my daughter, grateful for the twist of fate that brought us together, despite everything, or maybe because of it. Your piece crashed our website, Janet announced over coffee, sliding her tablet across the table. Look at these numbers. I nearly spilled my latte. The statistics were staggering. Hundreds of thousands of shares, comments flooding in from around the world. My story about choosing Riley over my father's approval had gone viral overnight. I've never seen anything like it, Janet continued. People are demanding more. They want to know what happened next, how you're coping, what your father... He doesn't know about the article, I interrupted, my stomach churning. He doesn't read lifestyle magazines. He might not, but someone he knows definitely does. This is spreading like wildfire on social media. My phone buzzed. Zariah. Have you seen Twitter? Aksha Prudence's pen is trending. I excused myself from Janet and stepped outside the cafe to take the call. This is insane, I whispered. I never meant for it to blow up like this. Are you kidding? This is exactly what needed to happen. You're giving voice to everyone who's ever been judged for their family choices. Back inside, Janet was already planning next steps. We need to strike while the iron's hot. Turn this into a series. Maybe even a book. A book? The word felt heavy, impossible. Your story resonates because it's real. Raw. People see themselves in your struggle. She leaned forward. Think about it. How many others are out there fighting against outdated family expectations? That evening, I sat at my desk, staring at a blank document. Riley was at her piano lesson. The house unusually quiet. My phone kept lighting up with notifications, messages from strangers sharing their own stories of family rejection and unconditional love. The doorbell rang. My heart stopped when I saw who it was through the peephole. Aunt Margaret. I opened the door to find my father's sister, her face drawn with concern. I read your article, she said without preamble. Is it true? Did Douglas really disown you? I nodded, stepping aside to let her in. She'd always been different from my father, softer, more understanding, but they'd grown up in the same rigid household. I remember when your father told me he was cutting ties, she said, settling onto the couch. I thought he'd come around eventually. You know how he is. Proud. Stubborn. Like father, like daughter, I managed a weak smile. No. She shook her head firmly. You're nothing like him. You chose love over pride. She paused, pulling something from her bag. He needs to see this. She handed me a yellowed envelope. Inside were old photographs. My father as a young man standing with a woman I'd never seen before. That's Sarah, Aunt Margaret explained. Your father was engaged to her before he met your mother. His parents disapproved because she was divorced. He chose their approval over love, and it haunted him. Still does. The photograph trembled in my hands. Why are you telling me this? Because history is repeating itself, but you're brave enough to break the cycle. She squeezed my hand. Keep writing, Prudence. Make him see what he's doing. After she left, I sat down at my computer again. The words came easier now, fueled by this new understanding. I wrote about generational trauma, about the courage it takes to choose differently, about the weight of family legacy. Riley came home as I was finishing, her piano books clutched to her chest. Mom, are you crying? I wiped my eyes quickly. Happy tears, sweetheart. Come here, I want to show you something. I pulled up the comments section under my article. See all these people? They're sharing their stories too, about how families can look different and still be perfect. She read a few comments, her face serious. Do you think Grandpa will read it? I don't know, baby. I stroked her hair. But I'm not writing it for him anymore. I'm writing it for us, and for everyone else who needs to know they're not alone. My phone buzzed again. Janet sending a contract for a book deal. The subject line read, Ready to change lives. Riley peered at the screen. You should do it, Mom. Your words are like magic. They're helping people feel better. I looked at my daughter, wise beyond her years, then at the old photograph of my father and Sarah. The past and present collided in that moment, showing me exactly what I needed to write next. Opening a new document, I typed the first line of what would become my book. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is let go of the family we were born into to create the family we were meant to have. The cursor blinked, waiting for more, and this time, I was ready to give it everything. Your manuscript made me cry 3 times, and I'm not even through the first half, Yusef said, adjusting his glasses as he sat across from me in his office. The literary agent's desk was covered with sticky notes and coffee cups, my draft prominently displayed on his tablet. Is that good? I shifted in my chair, still uncomfortable with the idea that my personal pain could be marketable. It's beyond good, Prudence. It's exactly what the market needs right now. He turned his tablet around, showing me his notes. The way you weave Riley's adoption story with your father's rejection, then connect it to broader themes of family evolution. It's powerful stuff. A knock at the door interrupted us. His assistant poked her head in. Sorry, but you need to see this. She handed Yusef her phone. His eyes widened. Well, this changes everything. What is it? He turned the phone toward me. Someone had shared my original magazine article in a popular parenting forum. The post had gone viral, with celebrities and influencers now sharing it on their platforms. Your story just got picked up by major news outlets, he said, scrolling through the feed. They're calling it a cultural touchstone for modern family dynamics. My hands started shaking. This wasn't supposed to happen. It was just supposed to be a book about truth, Yusef finished. And truth resonates. Look at these comments. I read through them, tears welling up. Reading this saved my marriage. I finally stood up to my in-laws about their treatment of our adopted son. I'm a single dad by choice. Thank you for making me feel less alone. Your father sounds exactly like mine. I haven't spoken to him in 15 years because I married the wrong person. We need to fast-track this, Yusef declared, already dialing his phone. I'm calling publishers now. We're looking at a bidding war. That evening, I walked into our apartment to find Riley and Zariah attempting to bake cookies. The kitchen looked like a flour bomb had exploded. Mom! Riley ran to hug me, leaving white handprints on my black blazer. Did you sign with the book people? Not yet, sweetie, but she's about to become a famous author, Zariah finished, wiping her hands on a towel. Spill everything. I sank into a kitchen chair, overwhelmed. Multiple publishers are interested. Yusef thinks we could have a deal by next week. He's talking about book tours, speaking engagements. Speaking engagements? Riley's eyes lit up. Like on stage? Maybe, but that means I'd have to travel sometimes. Are you okay with that? She considered this seriously, flour still dusting her nose. Only if I get to come too. And if Aunt Zariah stays with me when you're busy. Obviously, Zariah snorted. Someone has to keep you from surviving on pizza and ice cream. My phone buzzed. Another email from Yusef. The subject line made my heart stop. Oprah's book club interested. Holy shit, Zariah whispered, reading over my shoulder. Language, Riley and I said simultaneously, then burst out laughing. Later that night, after Riley was asleep and Zariah had gone home, I sat on our balcony with my laptop. The city lights blurred as I typed, pouring out the next chapter of my book. The funny thing about choosing your own path is that you never walk it alone. For every door that closes, another opens, bringing new family, new friends, new possibilities. The trick is being brave enough to step through. My phone rang. An unknown number. I answered cautiously. Prudence, a woman's trembling voice. You don't know me, but I'm Sarah. Your Aunt Margaret gave me your number. The woman from the photograph, my father's almost wife. I read your article, she continued. It's like reading my own story, except you were stronger than I was. You chose love. Did you? I swallowed hard. Did you ever regret letting him go? Every day. But reading your words, seeing you break the cycle, it heals something in me too. After we hung up, I added a new paragraph to my manuscript. Sometimes our choices echo through generations, rippling outward to touch lives we never knew we'd reach. My father taught me that family means sacrifice. What he never expected was that his lesson would teach others to sacrifice the very traditions he held so dear. My phone buzzed again. Youssef sending the first publisher's offer. The advance was more money than I'd ever seen, but it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about all the Sarahs out there, all the Rileys, all the fathers still clinging to outdated ideals. I clicked accept on the offer, then closed my laptop. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new chances to speak truth to power. But tonight, I just listened to my daughter's soft breathing from the next room, grateful for the courage to choose this path, wherever it might lead. And now, please welcome to the stage the author of Choosing Us, a modern family manifesto, Prudence. The applause was deafening as I walked onto the stage of the Barnes & Noble flagship store. 6 months after the book's release, and I still wasn't used to this. Riley sat in the front row, beaming, while Zariah filmed everything on her phone. "Thank you all for coming," I began, adjusting the microphone. When I wrote about my father disowning me for adopting my daughter, I never imagined, "We love you, Prudence," someone shouted from the crowd. I laughed, tension easing. "I love you too, random stranger." The reading went smoothly until the Q&A session. A woman stood up, clutching my book like a lifeline. "My parents cut me off when I came out," she said, voice shaking. "Your book gave me the strength to start my own family anyway. How do you deal with the guilt?" The question hit home. "Guilt is their weapon," I answered carefully. "They want us to feel wrong for choosing happiness over their expectations. But let me ask you this. Are you happy?" She nodded, tears streaming. "I have a wife and 2 beautiful kids now." "Then you've already won. The guilt isn't yours to carry." After the signing, Youssef pulled me aside. "The numbers are in. You've hit the New York Times bestseller list. #1. Riley overheard and squealed, throwing her arms around me. "Mom, you're famous!" "Not famous," I corrected, hugging her back. "Just important," Youssef finished. "You're important, and we need to talk about the television offers." "Television?" Zariah's eyes widened. "Like interviews? Like adaptation rights? Multiple streaming services want to turn the book into a series." My head spun. I need to sit down. "Mom," Riley tugged my sleeve. "Someone's trying to get your attention." I turned to see an elderly woman hovering nearby, her hands trembling around a copy of my book. Something about her seemed familiar. "I'm sorry to interrupt," she said softly. "I'm Margaret's friend, Ruth. I used to work for your father's law firm." My heart stopped. "Is he—" "He's fine," she assured quickly. "But he knows about the book. Everyone at the firm is reading it. She hesitated. "He's not handling it well." "Define not well," Zariah demanded, protective as always. "He's been different. Distracted. Yesterday I saw him reading your book in his office. He thought everyone had left for the day." I gripped Riley's shoulder for support. "Did he say anything?" "No, but—" Ruth reached into her purse, pulling out an envelope. "He wrote this, asked me to deliver it if I ever ran into you." My hands shook as I took the envelope. Riley pressed against my side. "Do you want me to read it first, Mom?" I shook my head, tearing it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper with 3 lines. "I saw you on the morning news. Riley looks happy. I'm sorry. Prudence." Youssef touched my arm. "We should go. The car's waiting to take us to the airport. Chicago's signing tomorrow." I folded the note carefully, tucking it into my jacket pocket. "Ruth, please tell him." But what could I say? That I forgave him? That it was too late? That sorry wasn't enough? "Tell him Riley is happy," I finally said. "And so am I." In the car, Riley curled up against me. "Are you okay, Mom?" "I'm perfect, baby." I kissed her head. Just thinking about how sometimes the best revenge is living well. "Is that what this is?" she asked. "Revenge." I thought about my father, alone in his office, secretly reading my book, about all the lives being touched by our story, about the family we'd built from scratch. No, I said finally, this is justice. For everyone who's ever been told their love isn't good enough. My phone buzzed. Another message from Ruth. He keeps your TV interviews recorded on his phone. Thought you should know. Zariah read it over my shoulder. What are you going to do? I looked out the window at the city lights blurring past. Keep writing, keep speaking, keep showing him and everyone else that family is what we make it. Next stop, Chicago, Riley announced cheerfully. Can we get deep dish pizza? Obviously, Zariah laughed. It's mandatory. As they discussed pizza toppings, I pulled out my laptop. The cursor blinked on a blank page, waiting. I began to type. Dear Dad, I saw your note. 3 lines for 3 years of silence. But here's what you need to know. While you were watching me on TV, I was busy living, and that's a story worth telling. The words flowed easier now, carrying the weight of success, of vindication, of healing. My father might be reading, but I wasn't writing for him anymore. I was writing for everyone who needed to hear that sometimes the family we choose is stronger than the family we're born into. And that was worth all the bestseller lists in the world. He's here, Zariah hissed into her phone, in the lobby of your hotel. Right now. I gripped my coffee cup tighter, nearly spilling it on my hotel room carpet. What? Your father. He's downstairs asking for your room number. My heart hammered against my ribs. After 8 months of book tours, interviews and success, he chooses now. Does he look okay? He looks old, Prue, and scared. Should I tell him to leave? I glanced at Riley, still asleep in the hotel bed, tangled in white sheets. We were in Boston for the last stop of the tour. No. Tell him to meet me in the hotel restaurant in 20 minutes. After waking Riley and arranging for Zariah to watch her, I took the elevator down. Each floor pinged like a countdown to something inevitable. The restaurant was nearly empty at this early hour. My father sat alone at a corner table, his once black hair now completely grey. He stood when he saw me, then seemed unsure whether to remain standing or sit back down. Hello, Prudence. Dad. I sat across from him, grateful for the table between us. A waitress appeared with coffee. We both ordered, then sat in thick silence until she left. I've read your book, he finally said. 3 times. I know. Ruth told me. He flinched. Of course she did. He pulled something from his briefcase, a worn copy of my book, pages dog-eared and marked with sticky notes. You wrote about Sarah. Aunt Margaret told me the story. Did she tell you I've regretted it every day since? His hands shook as he opened the book to a marked page. When I read this part, about choosing love over tradition, it was like reading my own thoughts from 40 years ago, except you were braver than I was. Dad, let me finish, please. He took a shaky breath. I watched every interview. I saw how happy Riley is, how successful you've become, and I realized I was doing to you exactly what my parents did to me with Sarah. I was perpetuating the same cycle of pain. The waitress returned with our breakfast. Neither of us touched it. Why now? I asked. Why show up here today? Because I saw your interview yesterday, the one where they asked about reconciliation. He met my eyes. You said the door isn't locked, but whoever walks through it better be ready to accept us as we are. And are you? Ready? He pulled another item from his briefcase, a framed photograph. It showed him and Sarah, young and in love. I found this in my attic last week. Looking at it, all I could think was how much you look like her. She had your strength, your conviction. I was too weak to stand up for her then. I don't want to be too weak to stand up for you now. It's not about standing up for me anymore, I said quietly. It's about accepting that family doesn't have to look like what you thought it should. I know. He pushed the photo toward me. I want you to have this. And I'd like to meet my granddaughter, properly this time. My phone buzzed. Zariah texting from upstairs. Riley's asking where you are. Everything okay? She's here? My father's voice cracked. In the hotel? I studied him carefully. Yes. But before you meet her, I need you to understand something. She's not a do-over for your past mistakes. She's not a band-aid for our relationship. She's her own person. And if you want to be in her life, it has to be for her, not for your redemption. I understand. He reached for his coffee, then set it down without drinking. I've been seeing a therapist, working through things. She helped me see how much damage rigid thinking can do across generations. And what happens next time I do something that doesn't fit your worldview? I'm learning to expand my worldview. He smiled sadly. Your book helped with that, actually. You're quite a writer. My phone buzzed again. Riley's getting worried. Should I bring her down? I looked at my father, really looked at him. Past the grey hair and designer suit, I saw something I'd never seen before. Vulnerability. Wait here, I said, standing up. I'll go get her. But Dad, if this is another false start, it's not. He straightened his tie nervously. I'm ready to be the father you deserved, the grandfather Riley deserves. As I rode the elevator back up, I thought about cycles breaking, about doors opening, about the courage it takes to walk through them. Maybe this was just another chapter in our story, but maybe, just maybe, it could be the chapter where healing begins. Riley was waiting by the elevator, still in her pajamas, Zariah hovering protectively behind her. Mum? Is he really here? I took her hand, squeezing gently. Yes, baby. Want to meet your grandfather? She nodded, and together we stepped toward whatever came next. Are you sure about this? Yusuf asked, adjusting my microphone. We can still cancel. I shook my head, watching the line of people snake around the bookstore. My father stood somewhere in that line, waiting his turn like everyone else. He'd insisted on it, despite my offer to meet privately. It needs to be public, he'd said. Like your pain was public. Now, sitting at the signing table, I could see Riley chatting with the store manager, proudly wearing her author's daughter t-shirt. 3 months had passed since the hotel meeting in Boston. 3 months of careful Sunday dinners, tentative phone calls, and slowly rebuilding trust. Next in line, please, the store assistant called. A young woman approached, tears already streaming. Your book saved my marriage, she whispered. My husband and I adopted after years of infertility, and my in-laws, well, you know. I did know. I signed her book with shaking hands. Choose love, always. The line moved steadily. Each person carried a story. Each signature felt like a promise. Then suddenly he was there. My father stood before the table, holding a fresh copy of my book. The store grew quiet, many readers recognizing him from the interviews where I'd told our story. I'd like my daughter to sign my book, he said clearly, his voice carrying across the hushed room. If she's willing. Riley appeared at my side, squeezing my hand under the table. I opened his book to the dedication page where I'd written, For Riley, who taught me that family is a choice we make every day. My father cleared his throat. I've been practicing what to say at this moment. I had a whole speech prepared. And, I looked up at him, and none of it seems right anymore. He placed something else on the table, a legal document. So, I'll let this speak instead. I picked up the papers, reading quickly, my eyes widened. Dad, this is the paperwork to make Riley's adoption official in every possible way. I've set up a trust fund for her education, listed her as my heir in my will, everything I should have done 3 years ago. Riley peered at the documents. Does this mean you're really my grandfather now? I've always been your grandfather, he said softly. I was just too foolish to see it. The store was absolutely silent now, everyone watching our private moment play out in public. I picked up my pen, opened his book, and began to write. Dear Dad, some traditions are worth breaking. Some bridges are worth rebuilding. Thank you for choosing us, finally. Love, Prudence. There's more, he said, pulling another envelope from his jacket. I found Sarah. My hand froze mid-signature. What? She's living in Seattle. We talked for hours last week. She's coming to visit next month. He smiled sadly. Your book helped her heal too. She said reading it was like getting permission to forgive herself after 40 years. Zariah appeared with tissues as tears started falling. Okay, everyone, let's give them a moment, she announced to the crowd. 10-minute break. But nobody moved. Instead, someone started clapping. Then another person joined in. Suddenly, the entire store was applauding, not for my book or my success, but for this moment of public healing. My father reached across the table and took my hand. I'm not asking for everything to be perfect, he said. I'm just asking for the chance to be better. Riley tugged at his sleeve. Does this mean you'll come to my piano recital next week? Front row, he promised. With flowers, I signed the last page of his book with a postscript. P.S. Sarah would be proud of you too. As he walked away, clutching the signed book, Youssef leaned in. Now, that's going in the paperback edition's epilogue. The rest of the signing passed in a blur. Later, over dinner at my father's house, the same house where he'd once thrown me out, Riley played piano while he showed me old photo albums. I found these in the attic, he said, pointing to pictures of my childhood. I thought maybe we could make new ones, better ones. I'd like that, I said, watching Riley teach him the basics of her latest piano piece. His fingers were clumsy on the keys, but he tried anyway, making her giggle. My phone buzzed. A message from Sarah. Your father told me about today. Thank you for showing him there's always a way back to love. I watched my father and daughter playing an off-key duet, their laughter filling the room that had once echoed with angry words. Sometimes the best endings aren't really endings at all, but new beginnings in disguise. Taking out my phone, I snapped a picture of them at the piano, the first of many new memories to come. Ready? Riley adjusted her graduation cap in the mirror, her hands trembling slightly. Almost. I pinned back a stray curl. There. Perfect. A knock at the door made us both turn. My father stood there, looking dapper in his suit, holding a bouquet of yellow roses. The auditorium's filling up. They're saving seats for the valedictorians family in the front row. Riley smoothed her speech cards nervously. What if I mess up? Impossible, he said, handing her the flowers. You're a natural speaker, just like your mom. We made our way through the school hallways, passing other graduates and their families. A woman stopped me, touching my arm. I just wanted to say, your latest book about reconciliation helped me reach out to my own daughter. We're talking again after 5 years. Mom's good at fixing broken things, Riley said proudly. No, I corrected. People fix themselves. Sometimes they just need permission to try. In the auditorium, Sarah sat next to Zariah, saving our seats. After reconnecting with my father, she'd become a regular part of our extended family. The what might have been turned into what finally is. There's my favourite graduate. Sarah stood to hug Riley. Ready to knock their socks off? I think I'm going to throw up. That's how you know it matters, my father and I said simultaneously, then laughed at the familiar phrase. As Riley took her place with the other graduates, I watched my father pull something from his pocket. A worn copy of my first book. He still carried it everywhere, its pages now soft with use. Reading it again? I asked. Always find something new, he replied. Today it reminded me how close I came to missing all this. He gestured to our unlikely family gathering, Sarah, Zariah, Youssef, who'd just slipped in, even Aunt Margaret in the back row. The ceremony began. When Riley stood to deliver her speech, my father gripped my hand. My mum taught me that family isn't about matching DNA or meeting expectations, Riley began, her voice strong and clear. It's about choosing each other, every day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. She looked directly at us. 3 years ago, my grandfather taught me something too, that it's never too late to choose differently, to choose better, to choose love. My father's hand tightened around mine. So as we graduate today, heading into an uncertain future, remember this. The families we're born into shape us, but the families we build define us. And sometimes, If we're very lucky, those families find their way back to each other. The applause was deafening. Through my tears, I saw my father wiping his eyes with his handkerchief. "She's remarkable," Sarah whispered. "She is," my father agreed, "because Prudence gave her the freedom to be herself, something I never gave you, or her." "But you learned," I said softly. "That's what matters." After the ceremony, amid the chaos of photos and congratulations, Riley pulled us all together. "I have an announcement," she said, practically bouncing with excitement. "I got accepted into the creative writing program." "Following in your mother's footsteps?" Zariah teased. "Actually," Riley pulled out her own worn notebook. "I've been working on something. About a girl whose family breaks apart, then puts itself back together in a better way. With help from her mom, and her grandfather, and some unexpected additions." My father leafed through the pages, his hands gentle. "You've been writing our story?" "Our whole story," Riley corrected. "The hard parts and the good parts. Because people need to know that happy endings don't just happen. You have to choose them, over and over again." Looking around at our gathered family, the one we'd built from broken pieces and second chances, I realized Riley was right. Every day was a choice. Every reconciliation was a decision to try again. Every family was a work in progress. "What are you going to call it?" Sarah asked. Riley smiled, taking the notebook back. "I'm thinking, The Choice We Make." My father pulled out his old copy of my book, placing it next to Riley's notebook. 2 generations of stories, 2 perspectives on the same journey. "I think," he said quietly, "that's exactly what it's always been about." As we headed to the celebration dinner, Riley linked arms with both me and my father. Behind us, Sarah and Zariah debated the merits of various writing programs, while Yusuf called ahead to confirm our reservation. "Mom?" Riley whispered. "Are you happy?" I looked at my father, who was already planning writing workshops with his granddaughter, at Sarah, who'd found her way back to us, at the family we'd created against all odds and expectations. "Yes," I said, "because we chose to be." And in the end, that made all the difference.